All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, we've got a little bit of blue-yellow ace action lined up. That's right. Probably going to be a pretty short video by my standards, guys. Thursdays have become a very tough day for me to put out videos just with my kids' school schedules and things like that. It's very hard for me to put out a video on Thursday. But we're going to try to keep it going, of course. So we got a pretty quick video for today for Blue Yellow Ace. And don't worry, guys, I plan on doing a much more in-depth, more comprehensive guide on Blue Yellow Ace going forward, especially going into OP-12 and OP-13, right? Because we're in OP-12 now in the West, and then going into OP-13, can we prepare for it? And I think the answer is yes, we can start preparing for it now. So let's do this, guys. Let's get right into it. We're going to be doing things in a little bit different order than normal. I'm going to break it down for you. First things first, we're actually going to check out a single game on the sim, okay? And then we're going to break that down. We'll analyze one game on the sim. And then after that, we're going to check out the deck list and really break things down. And from there, we're also going to talk a little bit about how the meta is shaping up. So this video will be a blue-yellow ace video, but it will also kind of work as like a... how would you say it, a meta watch style video, and kind of we're going to try to analyze what's going on and try to make some sense of it in OP-12 for us over here in the West. Okay, so as usual, guys, I will have everything time-stamped in the general description, and I'll have all relevant deck lists and links and stuff like that in the comments section below. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put those down in the comment section below, or hop on the VV Theory Discord. Link will be in the channel description. Okay. So like I said, guys, first things first here, we're actually going to watch a game on the sim. We got a game of Blue Yellow Ace versus Purple Luffy. Let's get the volume off. Let's get the speed on 2x. It's about a 20-minute game. My opponent was playing a little bit slowly, but that's okay, guys. We got to give people time, you know, the chance to think and to make the best possible moves. So, Blue Yellow Ace. I'm going to kind of just ramble. We're going to rant for a little bit here because I want to tell you guys what I think about Blue Yellow Ace moving forward. Notice what's in my hand right here. I know we did not go over the deck list first, but just know this is kind of like a Goa Kingdom hybrid version of Blue Yellow Ace, where we have a little bit of Goa tricks, and we also have a little bit of life gain tricks. Okay? Turn 1, we're going second. We play out Sanji. Turn 2, we're going to go ahead and fix the top card of our life to a 5-cost character. We're going to attack in with Sanji. We're going to gain that 2k counter to our life that we just put there with our leader. Swinging for 5, swinging for 7. Now, I think one thing I'm going to talk about a lot more when we get to like the deck breakdown part of today's video is I think we have to start looking at deck building from a different standpoint. Anti-removal has gotten to a certain point, guys. Board flood and anti-removal have gotten to a certain point. The board flood has gotten crazy, and the anti-removal has also gotten pretty crazy. Where it's like, okay, we're going to have to adapt. All right. So again, we're waiting for our opponent here. They swung 3 into 3. I'm going to go ahead and 1k counter out of that in case they were going to try to swing 7 at my face. Instead, they would have had to swing 7 into the Sanji, and I was going to let that go anyway. Now, very interesting. Let's talk about this game real quick. They're about to hit me with a Trafalgar Law. I just had to trash 2 cards at random from my hand here, guys, and that was at a Dawn -1. That was really, really unfortunate. It makes me wish I had just countered out to save my character there. But how was I supposed to know? They were going to spend 8 Dawn to just spend, 4 of it on developing a Trafalgar Law. Okay, so right here, they did develop Trafalgar Law. They used Miss Doublefinger to trash a card and ramp a Dawn back. They want to get to 10 Dawn next turn. We're going to start off by using our leader effect. We have a Viola. We have a Sanji in hand. And I think we're just going to use this turn to develop our board a little bit and gain life. So we're going to swing for 7. We don't really care about that Mr. 2 Bancrei Bentham. Why is that? Well, because we're about to have a 0 power character on the board and then a 2,000 power character, or excuse me, a 3,000 power character. So sure, you can have that card if you want to. Go ahead and swing with it if you want to. It doesn't even matter, right? Because I'm a 5,000 power leader. So this version here, we're going to look at this version just after this game. I want to show you guys what I have on my mind. I'm going to talk about the direction I want to start building Blue Yellow Ace and just the direction it seems like the meta is starting to shift in the game. Okay, so they're going to swing for 5. We're going to go ahead and take that. I want them to swing out across the board because I want to draw some cards here. And I know they're running Trafalgar Law, but I want to draw some cards here. They swing for 5 more. I'm going to take this. I'm basically daring him. I'm like, is he really going to play another Trafalgar Law? Swings for 5. Okay, now I should counter out of this. This is pretty greedy if I take this. Okay, swings in for 5. We're going to go ahead and take it. I'm telling the guy, like, hey, I dare you. Drop down another Trafalgar Law. I dare you, right? He swings for a bunch of 5s here. And, guys, he absolutely does play out another Trafalgar Law, and that is not good. We're not happy about that exactly. But at the same time, I kind of would prefer him play out these smaller characters than play out some massive character. Because I'm going to give you guys a spoiler warning. I'm not even running Red Rock in this list. Okay, this list here, guys, I'm not even running Red Rock. I basically replaced all the events in the deck with the Searcher event. And again, we'll look at it in a minute. But I'm trying to be a little bit more lower to the ground, and I'm trying to flood the board a little bit. And I'm trying to keep my power, my leader power, around 7,000 when I can. And that's a big topic I want to talk about moving forward. Okay, so they swing out with the whole board here. They play out another Trafalgar Law, guys. They almost hit me with, if I had not countered out of that, they would have got me with a second Trafalgar, well, I guess a third Trafalgar Law, technically. Okay, leader effect. We have 18 2K counters, or excuse me, 18 5-cost characters in this deck. So it's a very high chance, like a 90% chance we're always going to hit. We're going to put Ace on the top here. We did the Searcher event. We were searching for a 2-cost Ace. We did not find one. That's okay. We can still make something happen here. We're going to attach 2 Dawn to Sanji. We're going to be able to swing into, it looks like we're going to attach 3 Dawn, and we're going to swing 6 into 4, drawing the top card of our life and gaining a life. And we still have a blocker, we have 3 life, and we're swinging 6 into 4. Again, I'm not even attacking in to this Mr. 2 Bancrate Bentham. Why would I? He has to attach 2 Dawn to that character just to swing for 5. So you can have that card. I play out the Zeus here, I take a life card, and then I go ahead and hit their Trafalgar Law. So right here, guys, something actually happens where I kind of mess up a little bit, but, you know, never punished. It's going to happen next turn. We'll talk about it. For some reason in my mind, let me tell you guys what's going on before we even get to that point. We're waiting for my opponent to make their play here. My hand's back up to 6 cards. I've had to discard 4 cards at random this game, and my hand is already back up to 6 cards because of the way Sanji works in the deck. They're going to go 5 into 3. Okay, we're going to 2K, 1K. I'm basically telling him, like, this card means a lot to me. You're going to have to get rid of this card in some way. Okay, well, I'm going to block out of that with my Viola, right? And now he has to swing in with the Mr. 2 Bancrate Bentham again, and I get to get a free attack into it next turn with my Zeus, potentially. Okay, 3, I'm going to counter out of that, sure. Watch this, he slams down, I believe he slams down a 9 cost right here. And if that's the case, then using that 1K counter ended up saving me a massive attack to my leader. He gets rid of the card, he's going to pass and turn back, 1 Dawn active, right? I forgot what I was just talking about, guys. There it is. Okay, pause. That was a blind rip 2-cost Ace right there. In my mind, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to close the game out right here because I have a 5-cost 7K Ace on top of my life. But for some reason, guys, I don't know why I was thinking that. I thought I had the 5-cost 7K Rush Ace, and I was about to just try to run this guy over right here, go up to 7,000 power, and just call it a day. You know, just try to get through, try to survive next turn. But it's like, wait a minute. That's not a 5-cost 7K Ace. That is a 5-cost 5K EB02 Searcher Ace, which was not the worst thing in the world. It beats whiffing, right? Because that was, like I said, guys, that was an absolutely blind rip with the Portgas D Ace there. There are other things I could have done this turn. I did not even have to do that play. Just like I said, guys, something went through my mind there where I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to play out the 2-cost Ace here and hit that 5-cost. But look, guys, the 5-cost Ace is in my hand. It happens. I'm just going to make the excuse we did this one late at night. I think I did this late last night. But here's another play I could have done this turn. I could have played out the 5-cost Nami to make sure I get a character into my life and gone from there, right? So I could have done things in a very, very different way, and it probably would have been better anyway. Because, guys, think about it. I've got the 5-cost Ace in my hand. I had the 2-cost Ace as well that I just played out for the turn. I could have just played out the Nami, set my 5-cost Ace to my top card of my deck, fix my hand a little bit if I could, and then attach 2 Dawn to my leader, put the Ace into life, play out the Ace, and then I'd have 1 life, I'd have a blocker, and I'd have a 7,000 power leader. But instead, we don't do that. We get a very fortunate blind rip Ace there into the EB02 one. And check this out, guys. Okay, I grabbed the 2-cost Ace. That's better than nothing. Now, we're going to cheat that out with the effect, and we're going to do a top 5 search for another Ace. And watch this, guys. We're going to cheat that Ace into play, searching for a 2K counter 2-cost. We're not going to play that out. Now we're going to go 3 into 1 here, and I think he ends up taking this. excuse me, he Gum Giants. Okay, probably not the best decision when I only have 5,000 power characters on the board, but hey, that's okay. We're going to swing for 7 first here, and if he doesn't get out of this, he's taking 9k, or excuse me, 11k. So he pretty much has to counter out of this, guys, unless he wants to get out of an 11k attack next turn. Okay, he barely counters out, so now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go 11 into 10. There's no way he has a 2k counter left, and the answer is he does not have a 2k counter left. And guys, now we have 3k counter in hand, we have 1 life, and we're a 9,000 power leader. That's very relevant, guys. That's very, very relevant. Now, yes, he can swing in with that the Mr. 2 Boncray Bentham for 7,000, but he has to attach 2 Dawn to the Mr. 2 Boncray Bentham just to be able to, you know, swing at my base level. Okay, so right here, he's going to be able to attach 2 to the Mr. 2 Boncray Bentham to swing for 9, but then he can only swing for 9 and 9 more, right? Because then he'd have, he'd have to take his last life card to do that as well. So he's in a very, very tough position here, guys. I'm a 9,000 power leader, thanks to that very fortunate top life rip there with the 2-cost ace. Okay, so they're going to go 7 into 7. All right, I don't like that. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to 1k counter out. If he wants to get rid of that ace, he's going to have to commit something to it. And guys, I still have 2 5ks to attack with next turn as well. Okay, so he attacks in 7 into 7. I give him a 1k counter. I still have a 2k counter in hand. So even if he swings for 5 and 5 on his 2 characters here, he can actually do that with his leader effect. He can swing for 5. On his Trafalgar Law. I mean, 5 Dawn, excuse me. If he attaches 5 Dawn to Trafalgar Law to swing for 10, he can then use his leader effect to swing for 5 more and swing for 10 more into my leader, and I can just 2k counter out of that with what I have in my hand. So this is all calculated. Okay, 9 into 9, though, I do have to respect that attack, because then he could swing in for 11 with his leader effect, and he could go 11 into me. And if I don't get a 1k or 2k counter out of my life, I just lose the game. So I do respect the attack there. He still has to invest 2 Dawn, or really 3 Dawn. Okay, I was going to say 4 Dawn's what he probably should have done in case I had another 2k counter in hand, because he had to invest just to be able to attack into my ace there. Okay, so we start off the turn by swinging 2 into 1, and we get rid of the Mr. 2 Boncray Bentham. Now we're going to be able to just swing a bunch of 7s across the board here, guys. We go 7 into that. That's going to force some type of response, and now we can just gain a life and go next turn, guys. We can actually just gain a life and go next turn. Watch this. I'm just going to keep eating the cards up from his hand. He lets that go. Okay, well, now I'm going to swing for 7. 7 into 5 here. This is going to force both cards from hand, or he has to let it go. If he lets it go, which I think he does, I'm actually not going to take the bait here, because he could have something like a Gum Giant. I'm just like, no, we're just going to swing for 9. This is going to force a 1 Gum Giant and another card from his hand. Okay, trashing the 8-cost Katakuri, and the ice give me 1 more card. It was a 2k. That's fine. We're going to use leader effect, putting the ace on top of life, playing out the Viola, gaining a life. We have a blocker, and now we're pretty much fine, right? We didn't have to go for lethal there. That's the nice thing about how blue-yellow ace works when you can gain life. Okay, no problem. Let's just extend this game 1 turn further, right? Let's just go 1 more turn. Okay, here we go. Let's see what our opponent chooses to do here. They've got 9 Dawn to work with. We have a blocker. We have 2 life. I think the only thing that can really even attempt to help them in this situation is like the 7-cost Sanji, but then how's he going to survive the crackback? I have no idea, guys. I have absolutely no idea. I think they're about to concede here very soon. Okay, so again, they have 9 Dawn to work with. They cannot use their leader effects because they have no life. They just did a Dawn -2 to go under my Dawn, and then I guess they were going to try to go up a Dawn and play out the Sanji. I'm not exactly sure. I think what the idea was there is they were going to try to go under my Dawn, right? So I have 10 Dawn, and if you're at 2 or more less Dawn than your opponent, you can play out the Sanji from your hand, but it still just doesn't help them, right? Because I can swing for 7. I mean, even if they attack, and so say they swing for 7 into my guy and get rid of my Sanji, or excuse me, my ace, they would only have 1 card left in hand, so I know it's not a Gum Giant. Well, if it is, it doesn't matter, right? Because if they only have 1 card in hand, they can't use Gum Giant. They can't get the 4k counter from it, because you have to trash a card from hand. That's part of the activation cost. So in this situation here, they attack. Even if they attack in for 7 to get rid of one of my aces, no problem. If they keep 2 cards in hand, I swing 9 and swing 9. Or if they play out the blocker somehow, which is what they were trying to do, but they didn't have the Dawn for it. Even if they could play out the blocker, I'm just going to swing 7, and it's a calculated GG. Okay, good game to my opponent. That was a pretty wild one there. Good to see Purple Luffy is still rocking and rolling. I do like the build they had here. I think the downfall in this game is Purple Luffy was way too concerned with burning my hand up. Instead of playing out large characters, which will burn my hand every time they attack, they were more interested in trying to burn my hand up with these 4-cost Trafalgar Laws. And it's not that that's a bad play, especially the first one they did. I thought that was awesome. But after that, it's like, nope, I think you need to start developing the big boys and start taking over the board. Okay, now let's check out the deck list, guys. Like I said, we were a little bit out of order in today's video. We did the actual game first because we only had one game to go over today. So this is the list we were just looking at. We got some stuff to talk about, okay? We got some stuff to talk about. I'm going to start off with the leader, and then we're going to go through the list here. So this is ST-13 Blue Yellow Ace, 5,000 power, 4 life, Whitebeard Pirates type, with the effect Dawn ×2, activate main once per turn. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 1 5-cost character to the top of your life face up. Then place the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then at the end of your turn, send all of your face-up cards in your life to the trash, right? So we have to turn our life cards face down or find a way to use them before the turn's up, right? With something like Zeus, something like, Sanji can kind of, pseudo turn it face down. It actually just draws the card. Pause and read this card if you don't know what it does, guys. Absolutely incredible. But we have to find a way to turn our life cards face down or use them in some way, right? Okay, now we're going to run through the list. I'm running 3 of the 5-cost EB02 aces, 3 of the 5-cost blocker ace, 4 of the 5-cost Nami, 4 of the 2K counter ace. This comes out in ST22. 2 Jozu, running 2 of the 7-cost Odin from ST22, running 2 of the 8-cost Luffy, running 4 Garp, 4 Viola, 4 Sanji, 3 Hiyori, 3 Zeus, 4 Port Ghasti Ace, the 2-cost Goa Kingdom version from ST13, 4 of the 5-cost Rush Ace from ST13, and then 4 of the Searcher event for the 5-cost or lower Sabo Ace and Luffy cards. So, going forward, I'm not a huge fan of where the deck was going for Blue Yellow Ace going into OP-12 and OP-13. I thought it was going to be fine, especially since Blue Purple Luffy took a hit, because our 2 worst matchups, from my personal experience, our 2 worst matchups as Blue Yellow Ace with this variant were Blue Purple Luffy and Green Purple Luffy. Green Purple Luffy is still lingering around. I see that deck pop up from time to time. That deck is still kind of a nightmare for us, to be fair. But I think it's much more winnable than what Blue Purple Luffy used to be. Blue Purple Luffy is still tough to deal with, by the way. Even that deck is still lingering around. But now that it no longer has the Katakuri and the 9-cost Lin Lin, those cards were devastating. They were absolutely devastating for us to deal with because they were pushing cards to our life face up. Well, now with our leader effect, we were just losing those cards, right? Into your turn, your card's gone. Right, so that was not good. That was really terrible. And then with 8-cost Katakuri, they're getting out of these 7K attacks we're putting on all the time, and that also, is really, really not good. So that matchup still exists. But I wanna bring up something here, guys. I got this from Eggman's website. Big shout out to Eggman. Definitely check out his channel if you haven't seen it. It's eggmanevents.com, I believe. I'll have that linked in the comment section below. But I got this off of his site, and I think he gets it from some place called TCG Matchmaking. I don't know who they are. But here's the thing. Notice something. This is OP-12. Check this list out, guys. So number 1 right now, and by the way, the way that these power rankings are calculated is they take all of the ranked games, and they only take the results from people that are at a certain ranking. So it's not just every new player in the game. No, it's people who have a certain win percentage or whatever you'd call that. Like when they're at a certain ranking and higher, like only the best players' results, basically. And these are the top 10 decks in OP-12 right now for us in the West. Now check this out. It's actually very interesting. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. So number 1 is currently Zoro. Number 2 is Rayleigh. Number 3 is Shanks. Number 4, Blue Purple Luffy, guys. Even after the bans, the pair bannings that happen, doesn't matter. This deck is still incredibly good. And if you look over on the right, guys, at the win percentage, I'll move my head over just a little bit. Look at this, guys. It has the highest win percentage. Blue Purple Luffy has the highest win percentage out of all the decks on here, and that's out of 6,000 games. So anyone who might have thought, like, okay, Blue Purple Luffy got nerfed and now it's gone. No, far from it. It's doing just fine. Okay, and then we have Bonnie at number 5. Green Purple Luffy is at number Green Purple Luffy's at number 6. Teach is at number 7, Kuzan 8, blue-yellow Nami at 9, and blue-purple Sanji is in 10th place. Now, one thing we have to mention real quick is notice this. Sanji, Kuzan, and Shanks are under 50% win rates when it comes to the matchups across the whole board. So, yes, they are doing good. They're still very strong. You know, they're very well represented in the current format. But I would say of all the top 10 lists on here, those might be your worst bets, right? I mean, it depends on what you're trying to do. And if you're a specialist in one of these decks, of course, you're going to get more value than maybe an average player would with them. But still, that's something you'll have to consider. Okay, let me move my camera back real quick. Now, I want to draw your guys' attention to something that I noticed. Let me actually zoom in so it gets all 10 on here. There we go. When you look at all these top 10 decks, with one exception on here, and it's number 10. Other than number 10 on this list, so 1 through 9, I feel like I'm noticing a trend. I feel like I'm picking up on a pattern. Every single leader on here does two things, really three things, right? It's like one of two things and then another thing, right? All of these leaders on here are either 5 life, so like monocolor 5 life, or they can get to 6,000 power or higher with their leader effect, right? Or some type of effect within the deck. So, for example, Zoro, 5 life leader. Rayleigh, 5 life. Shanks, 5 life. Blue-purple Luffy, 6,000 power leader. Bonnie, 5 life. Green-purple Luffy and blue-yellow Nami are 6 or 7,000 power leaders with their effects. And then we have, you know, Teach, Kuzan, those are 5 life. And the one exception was Sanji. But it's also doing the worst on this list, second only to Kuzan, believe it or not. Kuzan actually has a lower win percentage than Sanji does. So other than Sanji, which is a well under 50% win rate across the board, all these other top placing winning decks actually have like that in common, where they are either a 5 life monocolor leader or they are some type of, you know, dual color leader that can get to 6,000 power or up or more, right? The other thing I want to draw your attention to is I feel like there is an extreme lack of removal going on here. The only decks that have removal now are really something like Green Zoro and Bonnie, where it's more about resting down characters and attacking into them. Rayleigh and Shanks are somewhat of an exception, right? Because they have the ability to do power reduction and go from there. That ends up being very strong in and of itself. And by the way, Shanks is not exactly doing well, by the way. Notice this. But Rayleigh is doing very well. We'll talk about that in a minute. Marshall D, Teach, and Kuzan have some limited forms of removal, but they're not really like control removal decks. They just have some cards that are pretty strong removal built in. But I think the thing that is starting to happen, and I wanted to dedicate this into its own video, I wanted to have an entire video talking about this. I believe the One Piece trading card game is becoming all about board flood. Or how good is your deck at dealing with board flood? Now, before, that was still kind of the case. I've said this in previous videos, guys, in previous metas. There's two things to take into consideration when you're building a deck in One Piece if you want to be super successful. There's a third thing, I'll talk about that too. But the number one thing is you either flood the board, or the second thing is you build characters that remove characters that flood the board, or remove characters on the board to prevent flooding. Well, that's how it is. The third thing would just be aggro, but that really is just flooding the board with little tiny characters as opposed to bigger ones, right? So it's still kind of the same thing. And look at this, guys. Zoro and Bonnie are interesting. Green is in a very interesting position. But all the rest of these decks kind of like flood the board in one way or another. Like, for example, Rayleigh is obviously a board flood deck. You just spam the board with nothing but 4 cost and lower characters. That's how you have to play that deck. Blue-purple Luffy actually floods the board pretty consistently as well with 9 cost Sanji. Green-purple Luffy floods the board with Dawn Tricks, Restanding Dawn, playing out more characters and going from there, and Luffy Taro. Marshall D Teach, this is kind of the control deck in the format, so it's a little bit different than what we're saying here. Blue Kuzan floods the board. Blue-yellow Nami does not exactly flood the board, but it's also a little farther down here, guys. Notice this, there's like a rating, there's some type of rating feature here, or like calculation, whatever you want to call that. I'm not exactly sure what that is or how that goes, but it looks like if you look at the ratings, Nami is very low in that department, only 7.74, and then Sanji is 7.70. So I guess what I'm trying to say is this. I think the best decks in the game right now for One Piece in general, are decks that can flood the board the best or do something on the board while dealing with flooding the board the best. So we're still kind of like how we were before, but it used to be based on removal. Like, okay, you have the characters that flood the board and characters that remove characters to help deal with the flood on the board. Well, now it's more a matter of like resting stuff down, like with Zoro and Bonnie, and then there still are some removal cards built in, but it's just not nearly as strong as it used to be. So, for example, Shanks has removal built in, right? Well, its win rate is under 50%. Well, what about these decks down here like Sanji and Nami? They don't really flood the board, do they? No, but as it turns out, look at their rating, guys. It's actually very, very low because they're doing the worst out of all of these other decks. So it really is going to come down to that. Now Marshall D. Teach is very interesting because he does kind of have like this fake version of board flood, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm going to play out this Kuzan, I'm going to do something with that, I'm going to get rid of it to draw cards and replace it with another card, and then I'm going to play out these blockers, I'm going to do all these little things on the board, and then we get to the late game and you're starting to spam out the 10 cost characters. It's a little different though, I will give you that, but here's the thing. Remember what I was saying. There are decks that flood the board, and then there are decks that kind of prevent board flood or have a way of dealing with it. Zoro, he doesn't really flood the board, but he has a way of dealing with it. He locks down characters, right, with his characters, and then attacks into them. Okay, he will push down a character, smash into it, stand up, and then attack face. Right, Bonnie, literally, it's the leader effect for Bonnie taps down characters. Marshall D. Teach, in a similar way, when it comes to board flood decks, you typically have to do an on-play effect. Okay, well, Marshall D. Teach has a little bit of removal built in, and, most importantly, it has a way to stop board flood from any on-play effects if you use your leader effect. So hopefully that made sense. I know that was a little bit clumsy, it was a little bit all over the place, but let me wrap it up like this by saying this, so we can go back to the blue-yellow ace deck. In the current game of One Piece in OP-12, you need to ask yourself this question when you're building any deck. We're gonna relate this to blue yellow ace in a minute, but anytime you're trying to build a deck in the OP-12 meta, you need to ask yourself two things. Number one, how good does my deck flood the board? And number two, if the answer to that one is not very good, then how good is my deck at dealing with board flood? That's the second thing. And I would say a third thing is like the first thing we were talking about. When we went over to this section here, the third thing I would consider is, okay, if my leader is not 5 life, then how can I buff my leader to 6,000 power or more? And I think that is a very, very relevant factor as well. Okay, so those three things: can I flood the board well? Okay, then can I deal with flood well? And okay, then can I buff my leader if I'm not a 5 life? If I can't gain life or I'm not a 5 life leader, can I at least buff the power of my leader to help deal with all of this board flood? Okay, now let's go back to blue yellow ace. All that to say, so how are we going to deal with that? That's nice and all, right? But how are we going to deal with that as blue yellow ace players? Well, I think the answer is this one. We have to gain life. We have to keep gaining life so that we're like a pseudo 5 life leader. And blue yellow ace is very good at that. But okay, what is going to give us this advantage? We don't exactly flood the board. So and we're not exactly good at flooding the board. So how are we going to compete? Okay, well, the answer is we're going to have to gain life, and I think we're also going to have to gain power on our leader. I think that is the way going forward. Now, there are some other ideas. Okay, there are some other ideas that will revolve around Whitebeard pirates. Okay, let me bring that up real quick. So we're about to get ST22, which is this leader right here. It's Portgosti Ace and Edward Newgate. We're about to get this, and we're about to get PRB02. One thing we might want to consider, this moving forward, is maybe more ways to flood the board while also using our 2-cost aces and maybe even our 2-cost Luffys or Sabos to continuously gain power. I think we can pull that off within a Whitebeard package. Hear me out. One thing that I want to do, this is an OP-12 list, guys, with ST22 built in. But let me show you guys how this could look going into OP-13 and getting PRB02 and going into OP-13. Number one, I think we can go -1 of this 5-cost ace, -1 of this 5-cost ace, and -1 of this 5-cost ace, and maybe even another one of these -1, and we can actually, in PRB02, we can add 4 of this ace. This is going to allow us to more consistently get plus 2,000 power with our leader. You understand what I'm saying, guys? This card here, pause and I'm actually going to read this card. It comes out in PRB02. Check this out. This is coming out in October for us, okay? It's at the end of October, but it is at least coming out pretty soon. 5 cost, 7,000 power ace, Whitebeard Pirates, of course. On play, if you have a face-up life card, play up to 1 Sabo, Ace, or Luffy with a cost of 2 from your hand or trash. Okay, what are we trying to play out? This card. We're trying to pull this card from our trash after using it earlier in the game. So what we might want to do is maybe go -1 of these cards to go +1 of this 5-cost ace that helps us search up the card we're looking for. For example, whereas this card here, grab this card so we can search up this card. And then once we get one of these in the trash, well, now we just want to start slamming these down nonstop and just sitting at 7,000 power for the rest of the game. And who knows, maybe we start bouncing this card back with Jozu or Kazuki Odin. I'm talking about this card, by the way, guys. Maybe we want to start bouncing this card back to our hand with cards like Jozu or Odin and go from there. Now, if we choose to go this route, we can probably get rid of the Luffys. One thing I want to mention about this Luffy, guys, this is not searchable with Monkey D. Garp or this 1 cost 3 Brothers Bond, because it looks for a card that's 5 cost or lower named Luffy, Sabo, or Ace. So unfortunately, this card is not searchable, but there is a card we can include in the future if we choose to. It's called this one. It's this one right here. It's called Thank You for Loving Me. It's a 1 cost event, and if your leader type includes Whitebeard Pirates, which ours does, in it, look at the, hang on. If your leader type includes Whitebeard Pirates in it, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 card with Whitebeard Pirates type included or Monkey D. Luffy. And then add it to your hand, then place the rest on the top or bottom of your deck in any order. That's actually very relevant, guys, with our leader's effect. So who knows? We'll have to see what kind of searching we can do. I would rather stick to the 1-cost searchers that we can bounce back to hand with Jozu or even something like Kazuki Odin and get further value later in the game. But what we might be able to do is start building more towards a Whitebeard Pirates package. Okay, and if that's the case, guess what that means? If we change out the 1-cost Garp or in the 1-cost 3 Brothers Bond, and we start adding searchers like this Izo right here, this is a 1-cost Izo on play. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with the type including Whitebeard Pirates other than Izo, and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. Check this out, guys. And also on opponent's attack, you may trash this character, draw 1 card, and place 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. But watch this, guys. We can then, if we start making this more of a Whitebeard Pirates searcher style deck, we can actually start including cards like this that comes out in PRB02. Let me just add 4 of those real quick. 4 cost, 6,000 power blocker with a draw 2 card effect. Okay, well, if that's the case, I don't know if I ever want to get rid of these Sanjis until they literally rotate out of the format because they're actually that strong. But who knows, at this point right here, maybe we actually start getting rid of other cards in here. Maybe the Zeus, maybe the Hiyori. I don't know. We'll have to figure out what we need to do. But I don't think we'll need this, the 8-cost Luffy either. I think we can just run something like this and then build more towards something like this 10-cost 12K, what's his name, Edward Newgate. We can start building towards this. And I think this could be the way going forward, where we're constantly trying to get our leader to 7,000 power. We have high searchability with cards like Izo. We have cards that are pesky on the board that are blockers and can draw us cards. I think this might be the direction moving forward in OP-13, in OP-12 and OP-13. I know some of these cards, like we said, don't come out for a while, but I think it is something at least for us to start building towards as Ace players. And I really want to know what you guys think about this. I mean, who's to say, guys, that we don't start building blue-yellow Ace in more of a mid-range aggressive way so we can put up, that way we can deal with the board flood, and then we can just go from there, right? Like, okay, let's fight fire with fire. Let's try to flood the board early on as well. But then in the late game, we have this secret ability with our leader to just start gaining life like crazy, or to start going to 7,000 power constantly. Because there might be a loop we want to mess around with later in the game. If we can set up a Kazuki Odin, think about this, guys. If we can get the Kazuki Odin into play, right? Well, later in the game, we might be able to start doing these loops where we start, swinging with Ace, the 5-cost 7K Ace here, pull this card back for 3 with our Odin, swing with Odin first, obviously, and then pull back this Ace. And now we still have 7 Dawn for the turn. Okay, well, I'm going to attach 2 Dawn to my leader. And then I'm going to use my leader effect, and then I'm going to play out this Ace again, pulling a 2-cost Ace out of my trash, and I'm going to 7,000 power, and now I have, whatever else was on the board still, but I can go from there. And there's other options as well, right? We can even just we could just pull a card back with the Odin, you know, use our leader effect, and we could choose to gain life with Viola or switch out a card with a trigger. We could still mess with triggers. I don't know. But let me finish up by saying this because I'm kind of just yapping at this point. I feel like the way moving forward that I'm going to start building Blue Yellow Ace, especially once we get PRB02 with a card like this and a card like this, at ST22 we're getting Odin, of course, we're getting this 2K counter Ace. I think the direction, oh, and this Iza, this is ST22 as well, sorry guys. Anyway, I think the direction I want to start building Ace is actually more Whitebeard Pirates. What do you guys think about that? Is that crazy? Now, don't get me wrong, I still want to mix in a little bit of life gain, you know, where we have access to the Hioris especially. Zeus is not quite life gain, quote unquote, but Viola is, right? Viola, this is still one of those cards that's just absolutely incredible. You can just pay 2 or put 2 on your leader, put a card on top of your life, play out Viola, you're establishing a blocker, you're swinging for 7 with your leader, you're gaining a life in the process. Like, so many good things are happening with Viola here. I don't want to get rid of this card. And this card is searchable if we're going to run the 5-cost Portgasti Ace from EB02. Guys, this card searches up any 2-cost card. So we can actually search up every card you see down here. We can search up the 2-cost Ace with this card right here. We can, you know, we can search up just, you know, any of these 2K counters or this Viola. So there is something to, you know, consider there. There is quite a bit of synergy already built in. But I think if we end up going this more Whitebeard Pirates version, and then we just mix in a little tiny bit of life gain and a little bit of power increase, I think we might be able to fit into this meta as Blue Yellow Ace. We'll have to see what happens. I need your guys' help with this. You're going to have to help me play test this and tell me what y'all think. Get some games in. It's been very hard for me to get games in. I think this is a good starting point for OP-12. Or excuse me, for OP-13. Now, OP-12 looks like this. It is a fair bit different. It's much lower to the ground, but this is ST22 included. Notice I have the 7-cost Kazuki Odin. You don't have to run this card, but I think it is kind of decent. But if I were to remove one of these cards on the top end, I don't think I would get rid of Jozu in this version because you can pull back the Monkey D. Garp and keep searching. And you know, guys, I'm starting to think about this. I think maybe we could. Okay, never mind. I was going to say we could run this this card right here. Thank you for loving me, and then we would be able to search up all the aces still and this Luffy. However, we would not be able to search up the 2-cost ace, and I would say that's arguably the most important part of the search. So, you know, guys, build it however you want to. But just know this. Let me give you guys something to at least look forward to if you're going to try to build with me in the more Whitebeard direction. We have a lot of options. We can build into this Edward Newgate, which we know is doing good in OP-13 versus Emu. And if that's the case, we can even consider running I Am Whitebeard. If your leader has the Whitebeard Pirates type, play up to 1 Edward Newgate from your hand. Then you may add the top card, or excuse me, the top or bottom card of your life cards into your hand. And if you did, give up to one of your leaders plus 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So guys, consider what that does. We can actually choose to... Imagine how this could work with Blue Yellow Ace, okay? And this is all building around a Whitebeard Pirates version. This is 8 Dawn. So for 10 Dawn, what we can choose to do is we can, you know, attach 2 Dawn to our leader, add a card to the top of our life, right? And then use this effect. And if our leader has the Whitebeard Pirates type, which it does, play up to 1 Edward Newgate from our hand. Okay, guys, in other words, we can choose to cheat out this Edward Newgate or this Edward Newgate, depending on what our life's at, depending on how we're going to build the deck. But we can cheat out a 10-cost Edward Newgate, and then you may add the top or bottom card of your life cards into your hand. So the card we just put on top of our life, we could just add it to our hand. And if we did, we give up to one of our leaders plus 2,000 power until the end of our opponent's next turn. So in the process, we could potentially slam down this 10-cost Newgate, and now our leader's going to have 4 Dawn attached to it if we use the exact example I just used there. Because remember, attach 2 Dawn to our leader, put a card into our life that we're going to add to our hand with the 8-cost effect to go to plus 2,000 for the turn. So our leader would be swinging for 4,000, 6,000, 11,000 on that turn, guys. That is massive. And then we're a 7,000 power leader on our opponent's turn, and we just established a 10-cost 12K massive character, right? So there's a lot of potential there. We could also consider this 9-cost 10K Edward Newgate, a double attacker on play, reveal a top card of your deck. If that card was Whitebeard Pirates, if that card has Whitebeard Pirates in its types, draw 2 cards. So again, we have a lot of options building into Whitebeard Pirates, and especially going into PRB02 and OP-13, right? Guys, I'm all over the place right now. I'm sorry. My mind is all over the place because as I'm saying some of this stuff, I'm coming up with ideas on the spot. So y'all bear with me if this is clumsy and again, all over the place. But this is another option we'll have, right? Going into OP-13, we'll have access to this 6-cost Ace, this the 6-cost Vista, the 10-cost Newgate, and just everything, guys. There's a lot of really cool stuff we could do here. A lot of really cool stuff we might be able to pull off. But we got more to talk about later for sure. Gosh, even this, guys. Whoops, sorry, guys. I just hit the microphone. It's too bad that this I Am Whitebeard card does not allow you to just play out a Whitebeard Pirates type character from your hand. Imagine if we could play out this Port Ghasti Ace with that effect. That would just be insane. Okay, I know. Probably not balanced, but y'all know me. Hey, a guy can dream, right? A guy can dream. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so okay. Now, back to what we were saying. Let me talk about this real quick. This is what we can look forward to if we are trying to build around the Whitebeard Pirates package moving forward. Friday, which is tomorrow at the time you're recording this, ST22 is coming out. That's where we get all of... Guys, let me just type in ST22 real quick. Look at this. If it ever loads, guys, look at this. ST22, we get the Searcher Ezo. We get a really strong Marco here that has some KO prevention, I believe. We get this Odin, this 2K counter Ace, this 9-cost Newgate, and this 8-cost event. We have a lot we can build around there. Okay, that's ST22. That comes out Friday, tomorrow, at the day of me recording this, okay? Then, in October, at the end of October, we get PRB02. Oh, what's this, guys? We get access to Marco and this new 5-cost 7K Ace. Okay, all of these cards I'm mentioning are Whitebeard Pirates, guys. All of them are Whitebeard Pirates. Then we get to OP-13, and look at all this stuff coming, guys, on the horizon. The 6-cost Secret Ace, the 10-cost Newgate, the 6-cost Vista. There's the 6-cost Ezo as well. It's not great for what we're trying to do because it's not going to be searchable by Ezo, unfortunately. But hey, it's still something to consider. Even this Marshall D. Teach here is pretty interesting, guys. You know, it's a Whitebeard card. It's a Whitebeard version of Marshall D. Teach. We have a 5-cost 6K Yamato. This one's not Whitebeard Pirates, but this is yet another very powerful card coming out in OP-13. So who knows, at that point, maybe we can find a way to mix a Land of Wano and Whitebeard Pirates type of deck together, because there is a card, guys, for those who are not aware. There is an Ezo from all the way back in OP-09 that has a when attacking top 5 search for Land of Wano or Whitebeard Pirates types cards, and then you trash a card from your hand after you grab it. So it's kind of like a pseudo cycle type of effect. Okay, so again, there's a lot to look forward to, guys. Literally going ST22 into PRB02 into OP-13. It's going to be Whitebeard Pirate support after Whitebeard Pirate support after Whitebeard Pirate support. And it goes into the things we talked about earlier, guys, when we were talking about how should we probably build moving forward. What kind of patterns can we pick up from other decks in the format? Well, guys, we can basically get to 5 life very consistently with Blue Yellow Ace. We can gain power with our leader to get past 5,000 to help us deal with the go wide decks, being a 7,000 power leader. And then lastly, we're getting a little bit of board flood. Now, it would be really nice if we can find a way to flood the board a little bit more consistently. Blue does have some options for that, but it has to do with fixing the top card of our life. Or excuse me, the top card of our deck. That will be a little bit hard to do, but notice this card right here, guys. This came out all the way back in OP-08. 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter, on play. Reveal the top 1 card of your deck. You may put into play up to 1 character with the type Whitebeard Pirates and a cost of 4 or less. Okay, so that's worded in a very weird way, but basically reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a 4 cost or lower Whitebeard Pirates card, you can play the card. Okay, and after this, return the remaining cards to the top or bottom of the deck. You can go from there. This is a card that can help us flood the board to deal with certain kinds of decks. And then there's also another card I know everyone's very familiar with, and it is the 9-cost Sanji. Okay, so this is another card we might be able to use to flood the board. But both of those cards that we just saw has to do with setting up the top card of your deck. So if we go that route, we're going to have to mess around with maybe like Perona. We already have the 5-cost Nami. We could do some tricks with that, of course. We have the 5-cost Ace as well. We could do some tricks with that. We could run something like the 1-cost Perona. We could run 1-cost Perona. We could maybe even run the event we were talking about earlier, the Thank You for Loving Me event. We could run this because this allows us to put the remaining cards on the top or bottom of our deck. Okay, so there are some options, guys, or even the 2-cost Marshall D. Teach. It's too bad that the 2-cost Marshall D. Teach that came out in ST17, it's too bad this wasn't like a former Whitebeard Pirates type card, because I think the new Ezo might have been able to search that up. Let me see something. Guys, that would have been so good. Notice this. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 card with a type including Whitebeard Pirates other than Ezo. It's too bad that the 2-cost Marshall D. Teach was not former Whitebeard Pirates. That would have been incredible for what we're trying to do, because then we could attach the 2 Dawn to our leader for our leader effect, set the card we want on the top of our deck, cheat it into play, use our leader effect, do all these different things. It could have been really, really crazy from there. But again, we still can run this card. And guys, this card is technically searchable with our 5-cost Ace. On play, if your leader type includes Whitebeard Pirates, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 cost 2 character, put it into your hand, then place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order, and play up to 1 cost 2 character from your hand rested. So we would have been able to do that if we needed to, or we can do that if we need to. So we got a lot of options, guys. All right, I'm going to end it there. I'm just yapping at this point. Tell me what y'all think moving forward. How are y'all planning? Guys, this is to all my blue-yellow Ace players out there. How do you guys plan on building the deck moving forward? Okay, are you building more life gain focus like we were focusing on in the past, where it's kind of more of like a ratio built deck? Or are you building more of a theme? Are you trying to go Whitebeard Pirates? Are you trying to go a Kingdom? What are you trying to do? Tell me what you guys are thinking. By the way, I tried to make sure the ratios were very clean for the deck you see on the screen here, guys. Check this out. 5 cost characters, we have 3, 6, 10, 14, 18, exactly 18, which is really good for the math nerds out there with the hypergeometric calculators, okay? 90% chance to hit with my searches, right? With my leader searches. How many 2-cost characters? Oh, 4, 8, plus 6 was at 14, plus 4, 18 2-cost characters in the deck exactly. I try to keep all that stuff nice and clean for you guys, so y'all would, again, I think this deck you see on the screen here is pretty decent, but it could use some support. It could use some, you know, some, not support, but revisions. That's what I meant to say. I don't know if we need to go Luffy, maybe the 10 costs. We might want to go 8 cost Katakuri again. We might want to go 10 cost Kaido for the time being, but I think once we get into OP-13, guys, it's going to be hard to justify not running this card in any deck that runs blue. Well, guys, it's already a Whitebeard Pirates card. That's why I'm starting to lean heavily towards Whitebeard Pirates. All right, guys, I'm done yapping. That's enough of that. I said, hey, this is going to be a real short video. It's almost 50 minutes long. Here we go. Well, guys, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Let me get the outro page on here. Please tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. Hey, guys, if you are liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing my stuff, using my TCG Player affiliate link, if you're supporting me through donations on Patreon or PayPal, if you're a Playmat supporter, a YouTube member, or part of the Discord community, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. All right, I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed. Till next time, guys. Peace.